What's up guys, Sam here, and today I have another tutorial for you guys. So what we're going to be doing in this one is we're going to be showing you how to get this anamorphic look. And for those of you who don't know what anamorphic is, it's basically your bokeh is stretched out into an oval shape instead of a circle shape. There's a lot more to it than that. It has to do with the type of lens you're using. Basically it gives a really cinematic look to your image. And I want to show you guys how you can do that in post-production because anamorphic lenses are extremely expensive and they're not very easy to use. So let's go ahead and get started here. I'll show you guys what we're going to be doing. So this is the original footage that I had, and I didn't really like this because it doesn't draw your focus to the subject enough. I would have preferred to have more depth of field. However, I was limited by the lens selection that I had. I only had a 28mm lens and it shot at f2.8. And I wanted this framing, so I had to sacrifice the depth of field for this shot, which I didn't really want to do. In post, I went ahead and fixed that. I'm going to show you guys how you can do this to your shots as well. So let's get started here. I have the original shot in a new composition here by itself, and it has it's a handheld shot, so you can see there's some shake to it. So naturally what we're going to have to do is go ahead and track this. So I'm going to go over here with the layer selected and hit track motion. And for our first track point, we're going to track the position of the subject here. So there's a nice contrasty point right here. We're going to go ahead and put the first tracker there. And we're going to track the rotation as well. And we're going to move that point to this nice specular highlight on his ear. And that should be good. And we're going to go ahead and hit track forward. So that's just going to track the motion of those 2 points, and that's going to allow us to place things in the scene without them appearing to move around. Okay, so that's done. So now we're going to head up here to Layer, New, Null Object, and this is just going to be something we can apply this tracking data to. So we're going to go over here with this footage selected again, hit Edit Target, and we're going to select the null that we just created, hit OK, and then hit Apply. And the X and Y dimensions are good. We'll hit OK, and now we have this null object that tracks nicely to his ear. So I've tracked him because we want to make a mask around him because we don't want him to be out of focus when we apply the effect to the background. What I'm going to do now is we'll go to this first frame here, and I'm going to make a new solid layer. So layer, new, solid, and we're going to call this matte. Okay, so we're just going to use this layer and we're going to draw a mask on it around his body so that when we apply the camera lens blur effect to the background, he won't be affected by it. Okay, so I'm just going to take the pen tool up here, and with this matte layer selected, we're going to go in and we're just going to start drawing a shape around his head. So when you're drawing this mask, it doesn't have to be perfect. Like, we don't have to get all these little details here, but we do want it to be decently accurate, and the more accurate the better. So take your time on this. So I'm just going to finish up this mask here, and we don't really need any of this to be out of focus, so I'm not going to worry about it. So we're just going to draw our shape over here, and we're going to cut that off. Okay, so I'll finish up this mask here. And now I'll hit V to bring back the move tool. Now what we can do is we're going to hit F on the keyboard with this selected, and we're going to feather this a little bit. So we're going to do like 20 because we don't need this to be a super sharp edge. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take this layer and we're going to take this little pick whip tool, or you can go over here, but we're going to parent this to the null object that we created with the tracking data. So then, as you can see, this shape is going to move around generally in the same spot as the subject. So it looks like this rotation data got a little messed up, so I'm actually just going to delete that. What we can do here is select this null object, hit U on the keyboard, and that's going to bring up all of the keyframes, and I'm just going to uncheck the stopwatch on this rotation. Okay, so now you can see our mask pretty much follows our subject. So now we can kind of get into building this look more. So what I'm going to do is make a new adjustment layer, and basically what that does is it affects all the layers beneath it. So we're going to put that right beneath this matte, okay? And for the track matte, we're going to do alpha inverted matte. So basically this layer here is going to obscure this layer. So we're only going to see the effects of this layer on the background on this side of him. So now we're going to apply this effect. So we go up here to Effect and Blur and Sharpen, and then Camera Lens Blur. Now this is a pretty heavy duty effect, and you're going to see it definitely is taxing on your computer. So you can use other blur effects, but this one is better because you can actually achieve the anamorphic look using this aspect ratio parameter right here. Okay, so we're gonna leave this on hexagon. I'll turn up the blur radius just to show you guys kind of what that looks like, and that's just gonna give you more bokeh in the background. So you can see this is a lot more blurred out. That's kind of what we want. So obviously this edge doesn't look very good right here. We're gonna fix that in a minute, but I'm just gonna show you guys how you can make these circles look like ovals, which is gonna give you that anamorphic look, okay? So this doesn't have to be an exact science here, but if you want to do it somewhat mathematically, the 235 aspect ratio is essentially somewhere in the range of 0.4. So that's going to give you that nice oval look, and I'm just going to turn up this blur radius so you guys can see what's going on here. So I'll turn up to 40 quick. Now you can see that's getting really blurred vertically, which is an interesting look. It's definitely unique to the anamorphic lens. Now this is a little extreme, so we're going to go here and we'll do 0.3 for the aspect ratio, and you'll see that's going to give you that nice oval bokeh in the background. So I'll turn this off and then on again so you guys can see what's going on, and it's really drawing focus to our subject in the foreground. As you can see, we're just going to go down here and click on repeat edge pixels, and that's just going to take away that little black line you see at the edge there because it was blurring space that has no pixels. So I'll turn that on, and what we're going to do is just quickly scale this up a little bit, and I'll show you guys why in a minute. Okay, we're also going to motion track the background. Now you could get away with just applying the same tracking data from the subject to this adjustment layer and have it follow pretty well with the camera movement, but it's not always going to work. So I'll just show you guys. We're just going to go through the tracking process again, and now we have the background tracked nicely. Okay, so I'm going to select the adjustment layer, and I'm just going to make a mask right here, okay, over this part of the frame, and I'm going to hit V, and I'll go back to my move tool, and I'm just going to move this very slightly. And what this is going to do is it's going to fix this problem. So we'll hit subtract here on this mask, and we're just going to feather it significantly. I'm going to feather about 200 pixels, and there we go. So you can see now this is not affecting the edge of our subject anymore. And what we want to do so that this mask stays in the same spot as the camera moves is we're just going to take the pick whip again and pick whip it to null 6, and that's just going to keep the adjustment layer in the same spot throughout the shot. And the reason that I scaled this up is because I knew this layer is going to be moving once we motion tracked the image. Okay, so that's going to allow it to stay the proper size in the frame, and I'm actually going to just scale this up a little bit more just to be safe, and I'll just move this mask a little bit, and there we go. So we're in good shape now, and I'm just going to bring the feathering down on this a little bit. We'll go down to like 10. Okay, so we're just going to take this down to half resolution, and you can see when we play it through, you have this nice oval bokeh in the background. He's nice and sharp, and there you go. You have your shot. So this is a really simple technique, and it's not going to work for all shots. Obviously, the best solution is to just get it right in camera, but not everybody has access to anamorphic lenses or even the proper spherical lenses. So this is a good way to get a little more bokeh in your shot. You really don't need to do the anamorphic look. If you want the regular spherical look, you can just do 1 for the aspect ratio, and you might need to make this a little less prevalent, so maybe like 28. And there you go. You have a nice little fall off, and you can see it draws a lot more attention to the subject in the frame here. So that's about it for this tutorial. I hope this was helpful for you guys and gave you some good ideas for future projects. If you want to go ahead and comment on this video for future videos or any questions that you guys might have, and hit the subscribe button to be notified of future videos. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.